from every inch of statism, like every inch of the government, take whatever, like you could pick anything. Take Social Security. And it's like, okay, well, what was Social Security before there was Social Security? It's like, well, that was your family.
Yeah, your family was
your family.
security.
Like the idea was like you took care of your kids when they were young and helpless. And then when you were old and helpless, they would take care of you. That was kind of the trade-off there, right? If you think about so before public schools, who was doing the teaching? Well, it was the family, or it was the community, it was the church, If you think about even like the way people kind of like very weirdly worship political figures. You think during COVID, like if you remember the treatment, the Cuomo-sexual
The signs
stuff,
for Fauci
the
in the
Fauci
yard.
things. Yeah, there's like very weird. It's like, okay, so who at every inch of this, you see like, wait, who's government's competition? The family, the community, the church.
Yeah.
That's their competition. That's
Tale
who
as
they're
old
in
as time.
business against. So why now I go, well, why is it that all of the halls of power are constantly demonizing the family, masculinity, the community, religion, like all the things that are in competition with government? I mean, and the more like totalitarian that states become, the more necessary it is to squash all of those things. I mean, in fact, you can't have them because it's just, look, people who have strong families, which are, okay, as everybody knows, always led by strong masculinity. I mean, that's the way you have strong families. They don't really exist without that, okay? So without strong men and strong family, people who have those strong families are independent. They don't need to be dependent on the government. The government relies on you being dependent on them. And in terms of like organized religion, it's just all of those people, right, who you say, who are putting Fauci, worshiping Fauci as a god or worshiping Andrew Cuomo or whoever it might be. None of them were devout religious people. Because devout religious people don't worship other people. That's like one characteristic that they have because they already have their God. They're not looking for another God to worship. You know what I mean? And in fact, almost every single religion, almost everyone, like in the first commandment is almost always, don't worship things that aren't God. You only worship God. That's what makes him God. And if you're worshiping something else like it's God, whether that's yourself or another person or just a symbol, that's blasphemy. Because you're not supposed, and so there's something that is deeply powerful in that, like even if you're not religious, even just like from an atheist perspective, there's something powerful about that because it robs would-be tyrants of their ability to put themselves forward as a god, which by the way, they always do.
Right, and
they
that's the
always
reason
do.
why in these communist societies they didn't allow faith. They
Yeah,
basically
that's
said
right.
you're not allowed to be faithful because they wanted your only faith to be government. And that's one of the things, I actually don't believe in atheism. I think you just transfer your faith into something else, and usually that thing is man, right? And you see that happen so often with people that are not faithful. They are radically, they believe in man. And I saw that with Sam Harris. I had the dweebiest conversation with him ever during COVID. He like attacked me for like going outside publicly, and I was like, dude, you sound unhinged. And literally he sounded like he was in a bunker. Like Dave Rubin got me to get on the phone with him. He's like, you two are both my friends, like just speak through this. And when I got on the phone with him, he was just like, you don't understand, it's gonna be gurneys in the street, like I'm keeping my like family inside, we're not going anywhere. And I listened to him like out of respect, but then I hung up the phone and I turned to my husband. I was literally about to go into an event and shake hands. I was like, that man is like literally insane. He's insane, but he's an atheist. So actually,
yes,
if you believe that this is it,
seems pretty religious,
right? This is it. This is it. There's nothing more to life but you living on this earth. You will worship whatever is created to give you one more day on this earth, and that is what Sam Harris became. So mask up, social distancing.
That's right.
These are your new sacraments. Dr. Fauci is your God. You're not an atheist, bro.
No.
Okay, you're a humanist. Like you believe in humans so much that are going to rescue you and keep you alive. That actually that is your faith. Like you believe in man.
The greatest flaw in atheism is that it doesn't exist.
Right, it doesn't exist.
That's really the problem.
I
There's
love
no such
that.
thing. It just doesn't exist. You see it all the time. As somebody who says they're a devout atheist, and then whatever their thing is, it's like January 6th was an insurrection and threat to our democracy, and it's like religion.
Yep, climate change. Religion. The world's going to end. I'm like, you're actually
religion.
They're cults, but they're all little cults.
By the way, it's libertarianism is another one. I've seen this out of like hardcore atheist libertarians, where then libertarianism becomes their religion. I mean, like all of this stuff. It's like the desire to worship is so hardwired in us that you just can't get out. You can't get out of it. You're going to worship something. And then what ends up happening is that if you don't have God in your life, then whatever is next in line, like whatever your highest thing is, becomes your God. Like and I don't mean that like literally, like you don't necessarily have to ascribe supernatural like elements to it, but it kind of doesn't matter. It's like once it's at the top of your hierarchy, it's kind of like you're going to end up worshiping this in some sense. That's not just in a rational way, in an irrational way, because we're not rational creatures, at least not entirely. And you know, that could be not so bad. Like if you, let's say